She walked in with her new fiancé to flex on her ex, but his billionaire actress wife turned every head. "I'm not nervous," she said, but her hands were shaking. I looked at her. "You sure?" Amira didn't answer. She just stared at the entrance of the gala like it was a war zone. Her fiancé, Daniel, adjusted his cufflinks like he was auditioning for a perfume ad. Calm, clean-cut, and clueless. This wasn't about love. Let's be honest. This was about revenge. Her ex, Raheel, was going to be there. The same Raheel who ghosted her 2 weeks before their nikah. The same Raheel who said she wasn't wife material in a voice note that got forwarded to half of Karachi. So yeah, this night was personal. She walked in like she owned the place. But the moment they stepped onto that red carpet, it was like the whole room gasped. Not because of her, but because of her. Raheel's wife. I don't know what I expected. Some cold, uptight corporate woman, maybe? Someone with too much Botox and not enough personality. But no. This woman. She glided. Silk gown, floor length. Diamond choker. Eyes that didn't flinch. And the confidence? God. I swear, even Danielle forgot to blink for a second. Amira stood frozen. She wasn't expecting this. None of us were. And Raheel? He didn't even look surprised. He knew exactly what kind of entrance his wife would make. She turned her head slightly, just enough to clock Amira. No words, no reaction. And somehow, that was worse. You know that feeling when you plan for months to prove a point, and then the universe just laughs in your face? Yeah, that was the vibe. And it was just getting started. Amira smiled, or tried to. You know that weird, tight smile people do when they're trying way too hard not to look bothered? Yeah, that one. She linked arms with Danielle and started walking deeper into the hall like nothing happened, like she hadn't just gotten sucker punched by Raheel's glow-up. Danielle leaned in, whispered something like, "You look amazing. Don't even stress it." Bless him. He was sweet, supportive. But he didn't get it. This wasn't about looks, or status, or even revenge, really. This was about closure. Control. That thing you ache for when someone leaves you broken and moves on like it meant nothing. They sat across from us. I swear the table placement was an actual joke. Who does that? Who puts two exes face to face like it's a reality show? But the organizers had no idea. To them, it was just 4 guests at a high-tier table. No backstory, no heartbreak. Raheel looked exactly the same. Same smirk, same perfectly ironed shalwar kameez with a designer blazer thrown over it to look chill. But his eyes? Different. They weren't darting around the room, looking for attention. They were locked on his wife. The way he helped her with her seat, poured her water, listened when she whispered in his ear. It wasn't fake. That's the worst part. You can spot a PR relationship from a mile away. But this looked like real love. The kind you don't perform. And Amira? She was crumbling by the second. Her hands were under the table, clenched, her foot tapping like crazy. And when Danielle touched her shoulder gently, she flinched. I looked at her. "You okay?" She didn't answer. But I already knew. This night wasn't going to go the way she thought. Not even close. Dinner was being served, but nobody was eating. I don't even remember what was on the plate. Some fancy fusion thing with edible flowers and foam. Whatever. All I could feel was the tension. Like the air itself was holding its breath. Raheel leaned over and whispered something into his wife's ear, and she laughed. Not just a polite chuckle. Like full laugh. Warm. Effortless. The kind of laugh that makes everyone else feel like extras in a movie they're not starring in. And Amira? She lost it for a second. She picked up her glass, wine, water, whatever it was, and just stared into it like it had answers. Why does she laugh like she's never been hurt? She muttered under her breath. I barely caught it. What? I asked. Nothing, she snapped, too quick, too sharp. And Daniel? Poor guy was trying so hard, complimenting her, making dumb jokes, playing the perfect partner. But she wasn't there. She was stuck in some memory loop, reliving every fight, every unanswered message, every tear she swore she'd already cried. Rahil's wife, I found out her name was Nayla, got up to use the restroom. As soon as she left the table, Amira stood too. Danielle looked confused. Where are you going? Amira smiled again. That tight, fake one. Just need some air. But we all knew where she was going. She followed Nayla down that hallway like it was her last chance to win something. Or destroy it. I should have stopped her. I should have said something. But some things, you just gotta let play out. And in my gut, I knew. This wasn't gonna be a calm conversation. This was gonna be something else. 10 minutes. That's how long she was gone. Not a second more. And when Amira came back, I swear, something in her face had shifted. Danielle stood up like a concerned husband. Hey, everything okay? She nodded. Too fast. Too fake. Yeah, I just needed a breather. But her hands, shaking again. I gave her that look. You know, the one friends give when they're not buying the act. She ignored it. Rahil's wife walked in 2 minutes later. Calm, composed, no mascara smudge, no lip gloss out of place, just cool. They didn't come back together, didn't even look at each other. But the energy, different. Like something had been said that couldn't be unsaid. Rahil noticed immediately. His eyes flicked to Nayla, then to Amira, then back again. I don't think anyone else saw it. But I did. The tiniest crease in his forehead. The kind you get when you sense a storm's coming. But you can't tell from where. Dessert was served. No one touched it. And then, out of nowhere, Amira stands up, clinks her spoon against the glass. I just want to say something. Danielle looked terrified. Even I sat up straighter like, no way is she doing this here. But she did. She looked straight at Rahil. Didn't blink, didn't smile. You know, sometimes you think closure means seeing someone again, showing them you're doing better, stronger, loved. The room got quiet. She kept going. But sometimes closure is realizing they never deserved to know who you became. Rahil froze. Nayla tilted her head slightly. Not confused, amused. And Amira? She just sat back down like she dropped a mic no one asked her to hold. But I swear, the room shifted. For a second, no one said a word. You know that kind of silence where even the clinking of a fork feels too loud? That. Rahil looked like someone had unplugged him. His expression didn't change, but his body did. You could feel it. That micro stillness when someone's brain is spinning a mile a minute. And Nayla? She smiled. Not wide, not petty, just knowing. Like, yep. I figured this might happen. Danielle leaned into Amira, whispered, "What was that about?" She shrugged. Nothing. Just felt like speaking. But I could tell. That wasn't for Rahil. That was for her. And it worked. People started whispering. Phones came out. A few subtle glances were exchanged across tables. She wanted the moment. She took the moment. But then, it flipped. Nayla reached into her clutch, pulled out her phone, opened something, walked over to Amira, calmly, gracefully, and just held it out. I think this is yours. Everyone stared. Amira blinked. What? Nayla's voice was soft, but it cut. You sent this to me by mistake, right before our little hallway chat. Amira took the phone, looked at the screen, and the color drained from her face. Raheel stood slowly. What's going on? I leaned over, trying to catch a glimpse. And then I saw it. A screenshot. A message from Amira to a friend, maybe a cousin, someone close, sent earlier that week. If I could just get 5 minutes with her, I swear I'd ruin that fake little princess. I felt the blood leave my face. Nayla. She just turned to leave, and before walking away, she dropped one last line. You wanted a moment. Congratulations, you got it. The room was silent, but not in a stunned way anymore. Now it was awkward, heavy. The kind of silence where people look down at their plates, suddenly super interested in their forks. Amira sat there frozen, phone still in her hand. And Daniel, his whole face had changed. I think that was the moment he realized. This wasn't just a weird night. This was a trap he didn't even know he'd walked into. He leaned away from her, slowly, subtly, but it was enough. Amira opened her mouth, maybe to defend herself, maybe to lie, I don't know. But Raheel cut her off. Don't, he said, voice low. You made your point, and then some. He didn't yell, didn't make a scene, but that hurt more somehow. He turned to Nayla, who was already halfway to the door. She didn't even look back. He followed her without saying another word, and just like that, they were gone. Amira looked shattered, not crying, not breaking down, just empty. Like whatever plan she had built in her head, whatever fantasy she'd created about taking control back, had completely collapsed on her. Danielle whispered, You used me for this? She didn't answer. He stood up, walked out too, didn't even wait. I stayed behind. For a while, watching her sit there in a room full of people pretending not to stare. She had tried to flex, to hurt someone who had already moved on. But in the end, she only exposed herself. And you know what's wild? Nayla never raised her voice, never threw a drink, never lost her cool. She just let the truth speak for itself. And sometimes, that's louder than anything. If you were in this situation, what would you do? Have you ever gone through something like this or helped someone who did?